Okay, right, ready, steady, go. Guys, mute your microphones, please. Okay, right, moving on. Okay, so first of all, do not call this a lasagna in a test or exam. What kind of lasagna does your mom make?
A beautiful pepperoni one, like that.
Oh, got it, because it's got pepperoni in it. Okay, so guys, this is an electron micrograph of a synapse. Okay, and remember, you should know that an electron micrograph is always in black and white and shades of grey. Okay, so if an electron micrograph has got colours in it, then those colours have been added by a computer. Okay, so it's a falsely coloured electron micrograph. Stop the shivering, Sydney.
No, I'm not shivering. Sorry. You know, Terry punches and go. You said that.
All I can see when I look in that direction is...
It's cold, you're outside.
Mom, it's like, I need to do it.
No,
It's so hard.
you move that way, you can do it.
What do you mean? Like,
Just so that I can't see it. Do you do that all the time?
It's a habit, my aunt just does it like
can I
this.
do this?
No, I don't want to clap people who do that.
My aunt does that too. Let's all do it.
Okay, so this is a self-study section. Alright, going. So what you can see here is this is the end part of the presynaptic neuron. This here is the dendrite of the postsynaptic neuron. There's the synaptic cleft or synaptic gap. And then you can also see here the synaptic vesicles. Okay, you can see how many synaptic vesicles there are. I'm not sure whether that's the nucleus. No, the nucleus would be in the cell body, which is way up there.
So then these vesicles are really small.
Yeah.
So those are the things that fuse to the nerve.
Yes. And release neurotransmitter. Okay.
Yeah, I thought the chest would be bigger.
Okay, no, they're quite small.
That's
Okay.
what I always say.
Alright, what you can't see here. Emily, what did she say? You'd be the nice child who'd tell me, the rest of them are little brats. I did, yeah. It would be a 20-hour emotional discussion to get Tony to say. Okay, so moving on.
It's on the video, just watch the video.
No!
Okay, moving on. What you can't see here, and it might be something to do with the method of staining that they've used on this particular section, where in fact you can't see the mitochondria. Okay, all right. But remember that there are many, many, many mitochondria there. Okay, just very briefly, revising some of the things that you saw the other. No. Okay, so some of the things that you might have noticed the other day when we did the mouse party, and please do not learn this, life is too short. So it should in fact be in blue. So various drugs can affect neurotransmitters in a number of different ways. And some of the different ways is they can cause leakage of neurotransmitters out of the vesicles where they're stored in the presynaptic neuron. Okay? They can prevent the release of neurotransmitters from the presynaptic neuron into the synaptic gap. They can promote the release of neurotransmitters into the synaptic gap when those neurotransmitters shouldn't be going into the synaptic gap. Jessie! They might prevent the reuptake of a neurotransmitter back into the presynaptic neuron. So then it couldn't be recycled. and they might bind to the receptor in the postsynaptic neuron and therefore mimic the action of a neurotransmitter or prevent the uptake of a neurotransmitter, and therefore affect how the postsynaptic neuron reacts to a neurotransmitter. I just don't want you to write it down. At some stage of the game, you have to learn it. I would never ask you this. If I asked you something like this, I would ask it by giving you the information and then asking you questions about it. It's a waste of life to write all that down. Okay. All right. Okay. So now we're going on to a new part of the nervous system. So far we've spoken about the nerves and the neurons of the nervous system. So we were dealing really with the peripheral nervous system, which remember is the nerves that transmit impulses towards the brain and spinal cord, and nerves which transmit impulses away. But now we're going on to the central nervous system, which you're allowed to abbreviate as CNS, and remember that in biology, you can't just abbreviate anything the moon moves. Okay, there are set scientific abbreviations that you're allowed to use. But the first time you use them, you write the entire thing out, and then you write the abbreviation in brackets, and then for the rest of that assessment or test or exam or essay or whatever, you're allowed to use that abbreviation. But you need to have written the whole thing out first of all. Otherwise, we don't really know what it actually stands for. Okay. So the central nervous system, is the brain and the spinal cord. Okay. So this then...
Oh my goodness. I thought it was one of those little props from the movie Alien, man. I didn't know what that was. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but you're gonna eat, man.
You hope, Charlie. Okay. So this then is a brain and spinal cord from the back. So let's say there was somebody standing here facing that direction who annoyed me, and so I took a chainsaw and cut the top of their head cranium off, and I grabbed the brain and pulled the brain up with the spinal cord attached, and you're looking at it from the back.
So that's the top of your head.
That's the top of the brain.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Then this is the part that is tucked in underneath the back of the brain, and then this is the spinal cord. Okay, you're happy with that? And we'll talk about all the different parts of it now. Okay, happy. All right. This brain and spinal cord is covered with 3 membranes which cover the brain and spinal cord. Together, those 3 membranes are called the meninges. Okay? So you know that if a person has an infection of the meninges, they have meningitis.
Oh.
Okay, does that make sense? So you've heard about people who have meningitis. It's a bacterial or a viral infection with an inflammation of the meninges, and it can be really bad and it can cause death. So the meninges, even although they're the membranes which are on the outside of the brain and spinal cord, are actually terribly important in the way in which the brain and spinal cord function. Okay. So this then is a real body from the Body Worlds exhibition, which I'm sure you guys went and saw when it was in Joburg. And what you can see here is you can see the brain inside the cranium there, and you can see the spinal cord running down here, and very nicely over here, very clearly, you can see the peripheral nerves of the peripheral nervous system, and these would be the nerves which would go to and from the legs. Okay, you can see them very nicely there. So these structures here are ribs, okay, and you can see the spinal nerves coming out between the ribs. You can see this one beautifully clearly. looks like a piece of string in comparison to a rib there.
Man, how did they get this?
So, did you not go to the Body Worlds exhibition?
No, I remember when we tried to go, I think in grade 7, just me and my family, and then we went there and they closed the line off 2 people in front of us. After driving like 2 hours to get there.
That was fast.
And it was horrible, so we just went and got McDonald's and cried, but we never got to go in.
McDonald's, yeah?
Yeah.
KFC.
Yeah, and then
Yes. So what they do, the guy who does it, he will take a body or a part of a body and sorry, dissect it to show the various things that he wants that particular body to do. So here what he would have done was taken this, taken the skin off and cut away the muscle at the back here and dissected away all the connective tissue so that what you could see is the ribs and the spinal cord and the nerves. And then what he does is he puts it inside a tent in which he's got fumes that are resin. And what they do is they penetrate and they stay in that tent for a long period of time, the body parts, whatever. And those, then the body parts become impregnated with that resin. So that then after that, they're actually firm, they're like a statue.
But it's like you have to carry on doing that. You can't just do it once, isn't it?
My impression is it is a once-off thing.
dropping that on the floor and
I'm
it
sure
shatters.
some you have to carry on.
Okay.
Presumably it's-
Certainly the reading that I did, and we did quite a lot of work on, because we made an essay of it a few years ago when it first came to South Africa. I don't think that they do it again, but they may or may not do it again. But it does become quite brittle. So when they came to South Africa, you could see within the containers in which the things were displayed that there were little bits that had broken off, which is
The one
quite
was
sad.
like out in the open and I touched it and it was like, oh,
Yeah.
where did we go? Grade 7, Tickle. Wait.
No, I agreed.
No, you remember grade 7?
No, we were something like high school.
Yes. Where is Mr. Beaver?
Yeah. Mr. Beaver.
We also went to
Yeah,
science
Mr.
in grade
Beaver.
7.
Yeah.
We went to Sabona.
Yes. So it was at Sabona.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one we went to at this school, like in grade 8 or 9, we also went, but it wasn't for body world.
Wasn't that at Footstool?
It was at Fitz.
That was at
We went to Sabona for something this
Okay.
year. Not this year, this college, like when we were at the school.
I'm pretty sure
We went there for something.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
When you played with the like electric thing.
Yeah, well, oh, that's even more.
I like Sabona.
Yes, remember that in drill? Was it in drill or was it in
Okay. Moving on. Okay. So are you 100% happy that you know that the central nervous system is the brain and the spinal cord? And the peripheral nervous system is all the nerves that transmit impulses towards the brain and spinal cord, and nerves that transmit impulses away from the brain and spinal cord. So now we're starting the structure and the functioning of the central nervous system. And the first part we're going to deal with is the brain. And it's the most complex part of the human body. Okay? Remember, anything that's in blue you don't have to know. But there are some things that you don't have to know that are not in blue, and I will tell you at the time. So it weighs approximately, it has a mass of approximately 1.4 kilograms. Okay? And they talk about it being the seat of, and that means where it's located, of many, many different things, including intelligence. It interprets the sensations. It initiates body movements. So in other words, you wouldn't be able to pick up the foot and move it if it wasn't for the fact that a part of the brain says do that. Okay? And it also controls behavior. Okay. All right. The brain is obviously within the skull, and the cranium protects the brain from mechanical damage. So remember, I don't like you to just write something protects something else, because I don't know whether you mean does it protect it from a falling concrete block, or does it protect it from a communist invasion, or does it protect it from a viral infection? I don't know. So I prefer you to actually say what it protects it from. So the cranium, which is the bone of the skull, protects the brain from mechanical damage, in other words, physical force.
Oh, yes, and if you do that, then your brain doesn't hit the walls of this.
It's more from outside stuff.
Like
So if I threw a hockey ball at you and it landed on your head,
But you still get damage.
pardon,
But you still get damage.
probably a lot less than if there wasn't a cranium. Because the brain's very soft.
Now,
Like
if
a
your brain is
concussion,
squishy, then like your brain.
Okay, trust me on this. Mechanical damage, protection. Okay, then I said to you just now, it is surrounded by 3 membranes, and we're going to talk about this in more detail. This is terribly important. Those 3 membranes together are called the meninges. Okay. Alright, so if one looks at the structure of the meninges and the names of the meninges, the outermost of those 3 membranes is called the dura mater. It is very tough, and it actually connects, it's fused with the periosteum of the bone. Remember, you learned last year when you dealt with the skeleton, you learned that there's a membrane that completely surrounds bone, and that membrane is called the periosteum. Well, okay, I hope you remember something. In the cranium, the dura mater is actually fused to the periosteum.
Oh, so it's super strong.
Yeah,
So that's the outer layer.
that's the outer meninge.
Now, in this section, are we like learning about the brain and like all the parts, like the cerebral cortex and all those things? So are we learning?
Yeah. Well, some of us are.
So like you have to know all the like names of the lobes and that sort of
Yes.
stuff.
Yes. Okay. How do you know those that they're lobes?
I don't know, I just do.
Okay. All right. Yes, babes. Error. No. I was trying to work out who we were missing. Go. I'm listening, love.
It's on your tables. Can't you die from it? Why is that?
Because it is possible that it causes a bruise. And then also what is important is that if the brain moves within the cranium, so it is possible, for example, if one, say, fell off a horse and hit this side of the head, then the brain actually moves slightly to that side of the head and it gets bruised on this side.
Is that what it's called?
Yes.
You
Yeah.
do know horse in the first place.
You live in this area. Surely, by definition, you have to horse ride.
Why am I looking forward?
I don't know, and I'm scared of horses.
Okay, so it is possible to damage the brain through the cranium. Okay,
So like if you just move slightly, like is it very bruisable?
not as badly bruisable as it would be if there wasn't a cranium or there weren't meninges.
Now, how do we get a concussion? I know it's from like intense impact, but does the brain itself get impacted?
Just explain that we've just discussed this.
It moves like this, and then this side bruises.
Tony, what were you doing when we discussed it a minute ago?
Saying that
Thinking
you
of
don't
horses.
forward.
That's exactly it.
Okay, yes.
So when a bullet enters the brain, right?
You die.
And no, I know obviously, but I'm saying the
Not
reason-
always.
True. So if it enters like through the middle of the brain, does that the reason that you die is because your brain controls everything, like all the other organs?
Yes.
Is that why you
And
die?
also things like breathing and heart rate.
So immediately, because if you theoretically, like if the bullet goes to your head, straight to your head and
It would depend where it actually did the damage.
Yeah,
Well,
but like
I think
certain
it's,
parts do certain things. So if it
Yeah.
hits a certain part, you won't necessarily die.
But let's say like it went straight. Let's just pretend that you're dying because okay.
Yeah, let's pretend Paige is dying. I am. I've got this major headache from this major thing. Go.
It's so far from all of us.
No, I'm not breathing your jokes. Yes, go.
I'm trying to compare because with blunt force trauma, so if you use a brake for stomach, use a brake when you stab someone on the head, right? And then they die because of it's not because of the moving in the brain, but because the cranium is turned into the brain. So it's like splinters into the brain.
What is your question? Asking all these questions.
What is your question?
I'm asking is that the reason why?
No, it's just like if you have a piece of soft jelly here
Yeah.
and you whack it, there will be damage to it,
Yeah.
depending on the part that you whacked. So if you whacked it at the side, it would do different damage from if you hit it from the top. Now the fact is that it is surrounded by the cranium, but it's not completely protected by the cranium. And the cranium might also break if a person whacks them.
Yeah, like a crowbar, and you go.
Yeah.
And then it goes.
I know you guys are planning things for me in my future, but it's fine. No, it's fine. Okay.
Ma'am, please just stay until next year because I already know what I'm going to write.
Yeah, I don't care.
You guys are not doing this. No, you're not.
Yes.
No, I'm leaving this year. So to go. Emily.
There's a certificate that we can give to the teachers. That's why we want you to stay. I think
Yes.
we have
probably something like that.
What do you mean that's why you want me to say? Is there nothing like you're an amazing teacher, we would love you to teach us?
That's why we want to say, I don't want to have my marks. You're a basic teacher, because
No, we should do don't obsess.
Okay, from now on, I have to say, from now on, if you're writing like a hang of a lot of guns from there, I'm not going to say don't obsess. Learn all this stuff. Because when I say don't obsess, you mock me. When I say we'll get back to this, you mock me.